Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video we are going to be talking about macronutrients, how to calculate what yours should be, and a little bit about what each macronutrient is for starters. I have put timestamps in the description below, including a protein timestamp, a carbohydrate timestamp, a fat timestamp, and a putting it all together, kind of wrapping things up timestamp. If you are already aware of all of the macronutrients, please feel free to skip part of this video and just go straight for the end of the video. If you are interested in any of the macronutrients, then please feel free to skip to which one you care about, because I know, me personally, I've heard way more than enough about protein, so I would definitely be skipping that section if it was me. But if you don't know anything and you want to stay for the whole video, then that's cool too, and please do so. Okay, so first up we have protein. This one is, let's just face it, it's the gym macro really, isn't it? Like, it's the one that everyone talks about, it's the one that everyone cares about for some reason, and I'm going to tell you why they care about it and why protein is so goddamn great. So there's 3 points that I'm going to talk about with protein. The first thing being, if you remember from my calorie video, the last video that I put up, I mentioned something called TEF, which was the thermic effect of food. Basically, protein is the macronutrient that is going to boost your TEF the most, i.e. it's going to allow you to burn the most calories when digesting said macronutrient. Comparing it to fat and comparing it to carb, it has been shown to burn more calories to digest a gram of protein compared to a gram of carbs or fat. And protein as a whole is also argued to be more satiating, aka filling. So all in all, it is perfect for someone that's on a diet that's trying to restrict their calories and bring them down a little bit, but they still want to be full. Protein will fill you up the most. It's good to keep protein high, especially when you're in a diet. And the third point on protein, it is the savior for the muscle building process. What protein does is it promotes muscle protein synthesis, which is basically building new muscle, and it is also the opposite of muscle protein breakdown. So when you go to the gym and you're sort of, I don't know, doing a bicep curl, what you're doing is you're causing the muscle proteins to break down. Muscle protein synthesis will kind of help stop that and help boost that sort of building process, because obviously you do want to break them down to grow them, but you don't want to just break them down and leave them as that, because I mean that'd be pretty sadistic. And to cause this muscle protein synthesis, you just need a good serving of high quality protein, i.e. a food that's high in good quality protein would be most of your meats like chicken, beef, pork, things like that. So if you have a portion of that throughout the day, you can kind of help promote muscle protein synthesis throughout the day. There is a small myth that goes around called the anabolic window, whereby after you've trained you're supposed to get a good hit of protein to stop the muscle protein breakdown. So it's argued you need to do it in the anabolic window. This is false. You do not need to do that. Just hit your protein target throughout the day and you will be Gucci. That then leads us on to what your target should be, and the easiest thing, to be honest, is to aim for 1 gram per 1 pound of body weight. So therefore, if you weigh 175 pounds, you should aim to get 175 grams of protein in a day. Now, if you're a normal person and you weigh yourself in kilos like myself, you can do the same thing here by timesing your kilo weight by 2.2. It's just a conversion to pounds. It's quicker, and there you go. I've saved you 10 minutes of Googling. Now, some of you may absolutely hate eating protein, and that is completely fine, although I do think you're a bit weird. All I would say is do not drop your protein goal anywhere below 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. So if you were 100 pounds, don't drop it below 80 grams of protein a day. Now, I have not done the protein target justice there at all, so what I have done is I've put a very long but very good article to examine.com below. You will get a very tailored answer to your protein target, because you can kind of relate it to your life a lot more than I can do by generalizing in this video. One thing you may notice if you do go visit that article is the fact that their protein targets may be a little bit lower than what I'm suggesting. I am suggesting things for trained individuals or people trying to either maintain muscle mass or build muscle mass. Theirs is a little bit more sort of like general population, so it may be that their targets are a little bit lower, and yeah, I just thought I'd explain that to you now. Also, it's just very easy to remember 1 gram per 1 pound of body weight. Even if it is a little bit on the high side, it's not affected anyone, so yeah, that's what I go over and that's what I recommend to basically everyone. Something to remember for the end of the video is that 1 gram of protein is worth 4 calories. This will make sense at the end of the video, do not worry. Okay, and I promise the very last thing to mention on protein is to try and split your servings up to about 4 to 6 times per day and have 30 grams as a minimum 4 to 6 times per day. So that means if you're having 4 meals in a day, try and have at least 30 grams of protein in each of those meals. This is not the case for your other macronutrients, but with protein you kind of want to keep your muscle protein levels high to kind of boost that muscle protein synthesis throughout the day and keep it consistent. With your other macros, chuck them in whenever you want, to be honest. Okay, so the next macronutrient on the list is fat. Now, this macronutrient, to me at least at the beginning, seemed like the worst one. I mean, who wants to get fat? You don't hear carbs or protein and think, oh my god, I don't want to get carbs or protein, but fat, I didn't want to just get fat. So I kind of just put it as like, oh, you always want to keep your fat as low as possible. Incorrect. Wrong. Don't do that. Terrible idea. You will feel like absolute shit if you do that, so don't do that. I thought, to save people from going down the same path that I did, why not talk about the benefits of fat and why you should have fat in your diet? So that's what I'm about to do. Number 1. It helps with hormone and gene regulation. This will basically keep you in a good mood, and it will also help your metabolism to stay in a decent place. No one wants to be in a place where they're kind of not burning off any of their food, because imagine if you're trying to lose weight and you have a terrible metabolism. Do you know how low your food is going to have to be, or how much activity you're going to have to do? It's going to be a bad time. So yeah, you want your metabolism to be in a good place, and fat will allow you to maintain that. Number 2 is brain function. This is another benefit where fat just works. Fat is just important for boosting your mood and kind of keeping you in that space where you know what you're doing and your brain is working. As far as I know, it can help with terms of like brain fog as well. So if you know what that is, then great. If you don't, I wouldn't worry yourself about it. Just know that fat is good and keep it in your diet. Number 3 is an important one, and this is the absorption of minerals and vitamins. Now, vitamins like A, D, E, and K are all fat soluble vitamins, which means they need fat to be able to kind of be digested and be absorbed into your body. Therefore, when you are taking your vitamins, as presented nicely here, make sure you're having a serving or like a portion of fat alongside these vitamins, especially these ones, the A, the D, the E, and the K. It will just help you kind of take those in more, and it's not just pointless popping tablets and popping pills. And the 4th and final benefit is your flavors and your satiation. Like protein, fat is also extremely satiating. The only slight downside is that with fat, per gram of fat, there's 9 calories compared to your protein, which is only 4 calories. So therefore, fat is still great to have in your diet to keep you full, but yeah, just be wary that you're kind of using more of your calorie total and your calorie balance by having fat over protein. And in terms of flavour, no one wants to eat boring or bland food. Don't take fat out of your diet and you'll just be in a good mood. And to quickly brush over what fat is and what fats you should be getting into your diet, because there is that whole good fat, bad fat thing. It matters, but I think people just sort of overhype it a little bit too much and kind of demonize foods that don't need to be demonized. Basically, you've got omega-3s and you've got omega-6s. Omega-6s are quite easy to get a hold of because they're in most sort of like beefs, for example. They're in olive oil, they're in peanuts, they're in avocados. So your omega-6s are quite easy to cover. Where you run into difficulty is your omega-3s. They're a little bit more sort of niche and kind of hard to get in. Now, things that are rich in omega-3s include things like your fatty fish, so your salmons, your sardines, and as far as I'm aware, also walnuts are high in omega-3s. I don't personally have walnuts in my diet, but I do try and get a portion of fatty fish into my diet at least 2 to 3 times a week, of which I would recommend you also do the same. It is also worth mentioning that alongside this, you can supplement your omega-3s. If you have a good fish oil, I, for example, have a fish oil in my multivitamin, which kind of covers me off and tops me up throughout the week. So if I kind of forget and I only have one portion of fatty fish, I don't need to worry too much. You should aim for your fats to make up between 20 to 35% of your diet. If that doesn't make any sense to you right now, don't worry. We will be talking about it and going through everything in the wrap-up section at the end of the video. Just wait until then, it should make sense. Okay, and the third and final macronutrient that we're going to be talking about is carbohydrates. Now, again, like fats, carbs can be demonized, although this is a bit of more of a recent thing, and most of the demonization comes in the form of ketogenic warriors, aka the ketogenic diet. Everyone seems to think that as soon as you drop all carbs out of your diet, you're going to stop burning carbs and you're going to start burning fat instead of carbs, and that's just going to make you skinny and make you lean. Nah, it's not that easy. Basically, when you're going into ketosis, what ketosis is, by the way, is the process when your body stops burning carbs as fuel, it starts burning fat cells as fuel. That sounds great, but you're then just burning the other calories that you're eating elsewhere. It's not magic. Eat your carbs. If you want to lose weight, concentrate on your total calories. Don't concentrate on how many of those calories are carbs and how many of those are fats. Keep your protein goal high and keep your calorie goal in a reasonable place, and you will reach your goals quite easily. And also on top of this, obviously I should mention carbohydrates are your main sort of energy source, main fuel for your body, so therefore you want to kind of prioritize your carbohydrates, especially if you've got low carbohydrates in your diet. You want to prioritize these around periods of activity. So for example, if you have a workout, you want to have a decent portion of your carbs in and around that workout. So pre-workout and post-workout, i.e. after your workout. And just to give you a little bit of information about carbohydrates, there are also considered good and bad carbohydrates. And yes, this is true to a certain extent. However, I'd make sure that a majority of your carbohydrate sources are coming from complex carbohydrates. These include things like your rices, your potatoes, your breads that are quite nutrient dense, and yeah, they're considered your complex carbohydrates. On the other hand, you do have things called simple carbohydrates. Now, these are things that are generally sort of higher in sugar, and most people will sort of see simple carbohydrates and automatically think sweets, cookies, things of that sort of nature. However, something that also falls into your simple carbohydrates are your fruits and your vegetables, because they're quite easy to break down in the body, i.e. they're simple, but they still are nutrient dense. So therefore, don't demonize simple carbohydrates and get them into your diet as well. As I mentioned in previous videos, make sure you're getting a good amount of servings into your diet of fruit and veg throughout the day. Okay, and now wrapping everything up, what I will say is, in this part of the video, you're going to need your calorie goal and you're going to need your body weight. If you don't know what your calorie goal should be, go back to the last video. There is the video on calories, and that will give you your calorie goal. Then skip back to this section and you will be able to work out what goes into those calories and how much of what macro should go into those calculations and how much of what macro should go into your diet. And yeah, you can start using MyFitnessPal properly and you can be confident that you're doing the right thing. So the easiest way that I found to do this is to take a person. I'm going to take a guy that's 175 pounds and he has a calorie goal of 2,500 calories. What I'm then going to do is apply all of the things to work out his protein, his fat and his carbs to him, and then hopefully you can take that information and then apply it to yourself and your own calorie goal and your own body weight. Okay, so the geezer that we've got here is 175 pounds, which is nice and easy. So his protein goal is going to be 175 grams. To work out the calorie amount for these, because we've got our gram amounts and then we've got our calorie amounts. So our gram amount of protein is 175 and our calorie amount of protein will be that number times by 4, because there's 4 calories in a gram of protein, which is 700 calories. Nice and easy. 175 grams of protein is 700 calories. So next up, we're going to work out what our fats are, and we are going to say that this person favors their carbs over their fats. Therefore, they've opted to have fats make up 20% of their diet. So 25% of 2,500 calories is 500. So that's our calorie amount, putting towards our fat. To get the gram amount of our fat, we're going to take this number and we're going to divide it by 9, as there's 9 calories in a gram of fat, and that will give us roughly around 56 grams of fat. Now the last thing is our carbs, which make up the rest of our calories. So we're going to take our 500 calories that we're using on our fat, 700 that we're using on our protein, and we are left with 1300 of our calorie goal to put towards carbs. Now there's 4 calories in a gram of carbs, so dividing the 1300 by 4, you get 325 grams of carbs. So this person that prefers his carbs to his fats, weighs 175 pounds, has a total goal of 175 protein, 325 carb and 56 fat to cover his 2500 calorie goal. Now on the other hand, if they did prefer fats over carbs and they wanted to say have 30% of their diet made up of fats, only the carbs and the fats would change. So what we're going to do is take 30% of 2500, which is going to be 750. This divided by 9 gives you 83 grams. That is your fat goal. Now we've used 750 calories for fat and 700 for protein, so we're left with 1050 calories to use on carbs. Take that 1050 and divide it by 4 and you get 263 grams of carbs. So this person on the other hand that favors fats over carbs has macros of 175 protein, 263 carb and 83 fat. Now I know that is a lot to take in. I completely understand that and it might seem confusing, but just trust me, do it yourself and you will kind of realize that it's not actually as hard as it may seem. I may have made it sound more complicated than what it is, but there you go. That is how you work out your macronutrient targets. Let me know how you get on. If you have any questions, if you're struggling with any of the maths, I'm more than happy to help you work things out for yourself. And yeah, like always, if you have any questions at all on this, on anything else, if you want to see any particular video out of this channel, then please let me know via a DM, via a comment. And if you've liked this video in particular, please consider liking this video. And last but not least, please consider subscribing if you enjoy this content. I've got a new series of videos that's coming out as well, which may or may not be out already. Yeah, I think I'll wrap the video up there. Thank you for watching and I will see you next time.